Today, I'm talking to Carole. Carole was overweight, she was suffering from depression, and she was consuming an excess amount of alcohol. That was until she found the carnivore diet. In today's video, Carole and I talk about how the carnivore diet has helped her. Just before we get started, do me a massive favor, smash like and also please subscribe. This really helps out the channel and it allows me to be another voice out there talking about the carnivore diet. Let's meet Carole. All right, so Carole, can you tell us how you got started with the carnivore diet?
It's right about the beginning of the pandemic, around 2020. Um, yeah, it was I think it was a rough time for everybody, really. But in my case, it got really rough. I actually got the COVID in, I think it was May 2022. It was last year, and I ended up having long COVID, which is just brought up some probably some issues from my past because I had Epstein-Barr when I was in my teens. Apparently, there's a link between that. I don't know. And I just was breathless. I had put on a lot of weight, and because we were cooped up and we couldn't do anything, so stuck in a house, everybody did the same thing: eat, drink, watch TV, because you can't do much. So, and then I got COVID, and then um, couldn't breathe. I had breathlessness. I had terrible fatigue. So basically, it just compounded to the point where I was just literally a couch potato. And yeah, I hit the skids, like, with the alcohol. That's really what happened, and that didn't help. And then I went to the doctor. I had tests for the lungs, and they said, no, your lungs are fine. And then I had what do you call them? PVCs, a post preventricular contraction. So it was like thump 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 thump. And I got a bit scared by the whole thing because, with the COVID, people say there's a risk of myocarditis and stuff like that. So went to the doctor, got some x-rays. I even got a what do you call it when they put you in that CT, coronary calcium score, because there's heart problems in the family. My dad had double bypass and stuff, so I was concerned. And he said, no, calcium, coronary calcium score of 0. And I said, well, what the heck? No answer. They couldn't give me no answer. And so I got really depressed, and I ate. I drank mostly. I drank a lot. And that had started actually like during the pandemic, before I even got the COVID. So you have to think, wow, I can't believe my I can't believe my arteries are not plugged with the amount of crap I was drinking. And we're not just talking beer here; we're talking pretty hard stuff. So anyway, by the and then amidst all of that, of course, I'm 53, so I'm at the age where the hormonal roller coaster is happening. And no doctors ever thought, maybe we should test you, as because I told him, I said, I'm like really feeling like, and no, they never tested me for hormones. And I thought that was silly. But anyway, stress adding on to, because also we're in the middle of renovating a house. My husband, it's too far. He works in Brisbane, so we end up staying. I stay in this house, look after the cats and everything, and he's like staying partially to the other house. So I'm alone. I mean, it just compounded. Everything compounded to a point where depression set in. I mean, really bad. And um, I just didn't want to scare anybody in my family. I didn't tell them how bad it got. I did tell a friend, and she was concerned, and she says, you got to go see the doctor. And I did. And then they wanted to give me hormone. And I said no, because I know what that does. My mom ended up having breast cancer twice. And the second time they gave her something that gave her uterine cancer. The medication ended up giving her uterine cancer. So, which she survived as well. I mean, she's a fighter, my mom. So I said, no, I don't want that. A pill is not a solution. I went through silly things like that when I was younger with getting pills, and they're not a solution. They're not a solution. And I refused. And I said, no, there's got to be another way. And again, nobody testing me for my hormones, which is daft. So, um, with all the weight, and meanwhile, while I'm going through my drama here in Australia, my sister is going through her health drama in Canada. She went through menopause, but she had put on so much weight. And again, no doctor telling her, maybe you should change your lifestyle, your diet, or something. No, pills. And they started her on these, I think it was statins or something. And she had nasal congestion. She had gastric reflux. She had all these things, and she was taking these. And I was getting worried for her. Here I am. I'm worrying about my sister, and like, I'm having my dramas. And I thought, wow, okay, we're going through this crap, both of us, and we're not being given answer or solutions. We're being given pills. And I said to her, have you heard of the ketogenic diet? I actually had one doctor. I said, are you for real? It's one doctor. She's gone now from my clinic, which is sad. I don't know where she's gone. I wish I knew. But anyway, she said to me, because I was saying, I used to do intermittent fasting in the past. It's not working. The hormones are not playing with me anymore. It's something's happening. And she said to me, have you tried intermittent fasting with a ketogenic diet? And I looked at her because I heard about the keto. I said, are you for real? Because, the doctor actually thought, are you for real, lady? You know? So I told my sister, and she looked into it, and she says, to hell with it. Let's do it. And we both started. I started a little earlier than her. I think I started in December of last year. And then she started in January. And we both lost an inordinate amount of weight. Oh, and by the way, it's my sister's birthday today. So happy birthday, Linda.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday, Linda.
And she's still doing ketogenic. I went carnivore because, oh boy, fiber never agreed with me. I mean, I've had IBS from teenage years. And again, the silly recommendation was have more Metamucil. Yeah, okay, I'll have more Metamucil, but I felt like I should be floating over a Coliseum, with Goodyear written on me, because, my husband had a nickname for me, Methane Girl. I mean, now he farts more than I do, but it was just like, so the vegetables never agreed with me. And I remember seeing a video with Dr. Shafee, and he said, plants are trying to kill you. And I thought, I think that guy's onto something, because, I feel like crap when I eat the veg. I mean, I bloat, and it irritates me. And I go again from either the brown Niagara Falls, or, I'm blocked like the Gympie Highway at 5 o'clock. And so it's like the two extremes. And I think this is not working for me. And then I saw a video with Sally K. Norton, and she was talking about oxalates. And at this point, I was getting pains. I mean, I can understand pain in my joints because, if you're heavy, you're going to put strain on your, but I was getting pains in my elbow. I was getting pains in my wrist. And, and I thought, how's that gelling with the shoulders and everything? And there was a time in my 40s where I did the whole green smoothie thing. And boy, did I sink in some kale juice. So at some stage, I'll spare you the details. I was gory, but anyway, this stuff accumulates. It's like fiberglass in your joints. And I thought, well, okay, bye-bye veggie and bye-bye fruits. And my husband went, what? He goes, what are you going to eat? I said, anything with a face, and he just looked at me and, insert AOL signing in. Yeah. He looked at me like, you serious? I said, yeah. So he's still eating, he's pretty good with his diet, but he's still eating pretty much whatever he wants. But I can't do that. I just can't. It just does not agree with me. I have food hypersensitivity. The fact that I've had allergies like the dermatitis, IBS. I had oh God, PCOS as well, the polycystic ovarian syndrome when I was in my teens. The pill never agreed with me. So I had to go off that darn thing. And I lost my periods after I dropped I think I was in my 20s, I think 26 when I dropped the pill. I stopped my periods for 6 months and I thought, yay, I'm saving on pads. And my sister-in-law said, that's not good, girl. Get yourself to a hospital. It's not like I thought, yay, no more periods. Silly me. Says, no, that's not good. You need to get that checked out. So I did. And then the doctor, no bedside manner, said to me, well, the day you want to get pregnant, you may as well put a bandana on your eyes in a dark room, spin around and try to hit a target with a gun. And I looked at him and I thought, okay, no bedside manner. So we have no kids by design and by choice, I guess. We have cats. They're the kids.
So
that's pretty much in a nutshell how I got to become carnivore. So, but the depression was pretty bad. I mean, it got to suicidal tendencies. Like I said to my husband, I hope I don't wake up tomorrow. So you get to a stage where there was brain fog, there was mood swings that was adding to the tension in the relationship, and him staying at the other house and coming on the weekends and stuff. Not good. And I was worried about my sister's weight, and I was worried about where she was going with the pills because I know what that does. So we just decided, let's do that together. I mean, she's lost over 13 kilos, and her husband's lost over 30 kilos.
her husband's doing it too.
Yeah. Lucky her husband got on board with it. I wish my husband did. I mean, my sister said to him, you don't have to go crazy carnivore like your wife. I said, thanks, Linda. She said, you can do ketogenic, but I'm not twisting nobody's arms. I mean, it's his life. I just wish he did, but
yeah. So you've been carnivore pretty much since December?
No, I was keto initially till I did a couple of weeks December and then January. And then by the end of January, I said no more. And I went full carnivore about just before February in that range. I'd lost a little bit of weight on keto. I think I lost about 3 kilo on keto, and I lost 12 on carnivore. So I was bordering, before I did the ketogenic diet, I was bordering 80 kilo, and I'm only 5'2". So I was really starting to pack it on. I mean, I started getting sleep apnea, and they wanted to put me on a CPAP machine. I mean, I can't. You drop a pin, I wake up. You think I'm going to sleep with something hooked to my face? I said, no, that's not going to work.
Wow. So 80 that's around the same weight that I was. So if we say talking pounds, that was getting close to 180 pounds. And so, and you're 5 or 6 inches shorter than me. Yeah. So that must have impacted your health pretty badly.
Very much. They told me I had sleep apnea. I don't know if I do or I did or I didn't. I do know I woke up occasionally at night gasping. So that's probably must have stopped my breath. And then in October last year, I ended up getting appendicitis. That was another wake-up call for me, I think, because this was the first time I had any type of medical procedure. I was like 50. I wasn't even 53 then, 52. And had never went to the hospital for a stay and an operation. This was the first time I got sedated to go under the knife. And even though the operation went okay, whoever sewed me up did a butcher job. I actually had to go back to doctor because I ended up having a smiley emoticon under because they did a laparoscopy. Wow. And they didn't stitch properly under the navel. So for a week, they said, don't take off the dressing. But it was really sore. And when I took it off, of course, it had started healing, but it was open. like a gaping wound. When I went to the clinic, the doctor said, "What the heck happened?" I said, "I don't know. You tell me." And he looked at it and he says, "Oh my God, this is the guy who had sent me to the hospital." Because when I went to see him, he says, "What are you doing here? Go to the hospital. You got appendicitis." Anyway, when he saw me, he said, "What the bleep?" He actually, doctor, what the bleep did they do? He says they didn't sew deep enough in the dermis. They just sewed the top layer and it popped open. And I said, "What do I do
Oh,
with that?" I said, "Is it going to heal?" He says, "No." I says, "I have to recut you and re-sew you." And I thought, oh my God. He says, "I can do it now." He was so upset. And this is a doctor. He's a doctor from Toronto who's now living in Australia. He's like, "What the heck? They butchered you." Anyway, he fixed me all up. But after that, I said, my one night stay at the hospital, the food the next day, I looked at it and I thought, "Are you joking? What am I, 5 years old? You mean sugar crisp?" I mean, the food was disgusting. It was like sugar coated Rice Krispies. I think they had like orange juice, which had sugar in it. And then it had two slices of white bread, jam, not even butter, margarine. And then what was the other thing? I couldn't believe it. I was like, "You're joking." And the lady that was behind the curtain next to me, she says, "I know, right? What are we, 5 years old? What is this? Sugar,
mm.
sugar, sugar, sugar." And I said, "Can I have bacon and eggs? Something substantial? I mean, I don't care. Give me peanut butter." Nope. I thought, I called my husband. I said, "Please come and get me." So when the doctor came
That's
around, he says, "Are you ready for discharge? How are you feeling today?" I said, "Great. Get me out of here." Just, I wasn't going to stay, no way. So
wow.
I'm not going back. And then I was hearing horror stories from my sister and how they're giving her these pills. And I said, at no stage did they tell you maybe you should lose weight? She said, "No, because the doctor that's treating her is," you
Mm.
seriously think she was going to say, lose weight? Because her doctor was just not the poster child for it. So, yeah. And we both decided, that's it. Let's do it.
You talked about the depression. At any stage, were you on medication for that? Sorry, I missed it if you said.
No, they wanted, the doctor wanted to give me hormone replacement therapy
Oh,
to
okay.
balance the hormone, and I said no. And as for depression, I did, when I was in my teens, I did, with the IBS and everything, I ended up sick with mono and went to the hospital. It was bad. I had actually had jaundice with it. I nearly died from it. I mean, if I tell people I nearly died from mono, they go, "What?" I said, "No, I don't do thing half measure. That's me. I didn't just get mono. I had mono, I had sinusitis and tonsillitis all together." So the doctor is saying, like, to my parents, "Well, she's got Epstein Barr, and well, she needs to rest and eat, and that's it. She needs to get over the virus." She can't eat. My throat was like so swollen, you could bear, and my nose was congested. So how am I? What other hole can I breathe out of? No joke, but
Mm.
I'm thinking at this point. And then they took me to the hospital, and that was another adventure. All 3 hours in the waiting room for a blood test, and then after that, they come out 3 hours later to say, "Yeah, she's got mono." And my dad wanted to rip their heads off and say, "We know that. We came in knowing that we want her better." So they gave me a cortisone IV, and he said, "She's got jaundice," because my dad knew it because he saw the white of my eye was going yellow, so my liver was shutting down. So I had to take a course of heavy corticosteroids after that. And I think that messed up my adrenals because I started getting some severe panic attacks after that, to the point where um, I didn't want to get out of my house, because every time I get out of the house, I'd start getting panic attacks. So I became full blown agoraphobic. And, um, and I thought, this is no way to live. My grades were dropping in school because I wasn't attending. So, yeah, the thought of suicide did cross my mind back then too. So, but I didn't, so I wouldn't be here.
Mm.
But yeah, it's
Wow.
I've had a few health issues in my life. That's why I went carnivore as well. I thought, no. If I have digestive issue, if I have hormonal issue, um, if I do have a tendency for, I don't know, depression, bipolar, whatever the heck it is, I said, no, I'm going to nourish my body and stop feeding it junk and sugar. Plus the
Mm.
tendency to the alcohol that tells you something that there's like a carb addiction somewhere there or sugar addiction.
Yeah. So how, I mean, you have kind of gone, 100% all in with this, the same as I did. Like you were cutting out the sugar and the alcohol at the same time. How did you go with that? And what was the more difficult of those to kind of resist?
Um, I'd say the alcohol for me.
Mm.
Um, I if you put a chocolate cake in front of me, depends if I'm hungry. I mean, but it's so hard. I haven't had breakfast this morning, and I'm gonna have to go literally force myself. I've thawed some lamb chops for lunch, and I thought I gotta eat. Sometimes I'm really not hungry, and I think, no, you gotta eat. You gotta feed yourself. But you're so satiated when you eat meat and fats that you put a after I've eaten, you put a chocolate cake in front of me, I go. So dessert for me is not a big deal, but we do have a wine fridge in the house because my husband still drinks wine. And every time I walk past and I look at it, I thought, ah. Or when he has a glass of wine, or the other day he had a little glass of port, this sweet wine, and you smell how sweet it is. And he's just sitting there watching TV, enjoying port. I'm on my computer, I go, I just look over at him and he goes, don't tell me you can smell it. I said, yes. And it's just instant for me. And I
Mm.
thought, oh, that just tells me how bad the the alcohol is far, far worse than chocolate or anything like that. For me
Mm.
anyway.
Mm. Yeah. It definitely has a strong hold.
Mhm.
And until, you can get to the point where you can kick it, but then you've got to kind of I mean, for me personally, I feel like, there's no way I could ever have another sip of it again, because if I do, it's all over, I'm back
Yep.
into it.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Because my husband's a big proponent of moderation. Because he's really good at that moderation. I can't do that. I can't. I can't have one glass of wine. I'll want two, and then the next day it won't be two. It'll be a bottle, and then it won't be one bottle. It'll be two bottles. To a point you think, well, there's no handbrake. And I
Mm.
said, there is no handbrake. You have to say no, categorically no. So, and
Mm.
of course, people still say the same thing, but just one won't kill you. It's not one that kills you. It's
Yeah.
the other ones that come after eventually will kill you. So you have to say no.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. So, you talked about like when you were in a bad situation with alcohol,
Mhm.
um, you're living on your own. So at that point, do you think that made it worse because, there's no one to check you, or, you're not worried about what anyone else is thinking? You're just able to sit there and have a drink and do whatever you want.
No, my husband does come home. It's just he stays there a few days a week because the
Oh.
traveling back and forth is too hard for him because he was getting migraines. I mean, he was the traffic is shocking. Uh, Brisbane has exploded exponentially with population, so which is part of the reason we wanted to get out a little bit more. But it seemed to have followed us to Bribey Island, and this place has tripled since we moved here in population, and the driving for him was a lot. And so I said, well, we said stay there, if especially if you have jobs that are much further, like on the south side of Brisbane. He stays there, but he comes home on the weekends and stuff. But definitely, being on my own and nobody was there, he would call me up on FaceTime. How was your day, Pumpkin? How are you, and all that? And I'm like, I'm okay. And he goes, you've had a few, haven't you already? I said, yeah. And then he'd hear me cry about the crappy day and whatever. And I think, poor guy, he deserves a medal. He really does. Because once you're clear headed and your mood is much more stable, you look back and you think, why was I saying that? Why did I want to die? I mean, my life wasn't that bad, but the alcohol messes with your brain. And I still have mood swings because I can't really control the hormones, sort of thing. And I don't want to take the pills, the hormone replacement therapy, and just getting off the alcohol, the sugar, and balancing that part of my mood swings that I can control. Yeah, he knows when I get the PMS, but that's about it. No worse than before. It's not as bad. Um, and also it's reduced the hot flashes and the night sweats for me. I used to wake up in bed the next morning and it was like the shroud of Thurin, like the Jesus impression of sweat on the sheet. It was bad. But now I'm just to get the occasional little puff. I go, oof, okay, somebody turned up the thermometer, and then it goes away.
Mm.
So it doesn't last long. And I thought, wow, that may, I think, because meat is so nutritionally dense, I think it just, what you're lacking, it rebalances.
Mm.
And I don't think our ancestor, or the women that went through that cycle, ever had hormone replacement therapy. You rough it out, and I'm pretty darn sure that the type of nutrition they had in the old days, you wouldn't have all these issues like that.
Mm.
I don't think so. It probably wouldn't be as extreme as what we have now.
Mm. So just to kind of recap on what we've talked about so far, as far as you went keto December 2022, and
Mhm.
then somewhere in January you went full carnivore.
Yep.
And you've lost about 15 kilos, or I don't know, 33, 34 pounds in total.
Yep.
Um, and as far as depression, I mean, is it what you would term gone? Are you, or
I'd say
what level is it at?
the depression in general, the F the world, F everything, which I used to, yeah, I could make a trucker blush. I'm being very polite here, but um, I'm on my best behavior. Yeah, I used to I was just like, to hell with everything, the news. I stopped watching the news, and that helped a lot. My husband kept telling me, you know what happened to this? I don't want to hear it. It's just negative stuff, and it really drags you down. And every day there was something, and if it wasn't, we didn't hear about COVID, we heard about Ukraine, we heard about something else, and I thought, why bother? And that's didn't help me. So drink some more. Why not? And that part of me is pretty much gone. That the negative sort of, to hell with everything, is pretty much gone. But I haven't recovered my creativity, because I'm an artist, and that went out the window just about the beginning of the pandemic. I became very, my muse, so to speak, went on a holiday, and she's probably still having fun in Fiji. She ain't coming back, so I don't know. So the inspiration's not there, but I'm sort of getting out of it, out of the blue funk, the creative
Mhm.
funk. You can't force creativity, so it'll come back when it does. So
Yeah. Yeah, you just gotta kind of let it happen, right? It's yeah.
exactly. The more you force it, the worse it is. I had an art teacher who said to me one time, he said, you can't force creativity. He says, if you do, it will reflect in your art anyway, because it's going to look like garbage. It's like,
Mm. Mm.
that's it. And that's what he said. He says, if you want to doodle, a lot of times that's what sort of pops the cork on the creativity. You just nilly willy do some doodling. He used to call it mindless art.
Mhm. Yeah, I think there's something, for me personally, I know everyone's different, but for me personally, the creativity is best for me when I completely can get everything out of my mind.
Indeed.
And like that for me, that's often like just if I'm standing in the shower, or I'm on a plane, or I'm going for a walk.
Mm.
because in those situations, there's literally nothing else you can do. I mean, on a plane now, it's a little different because there's so much entertainment and stuff, right? But back in the day, if you were traveling on a 747 in 1995, then there was not, if you didn't have cards with you or a book, then you were in trouble.
Right.
Um,
Or
but
the poor guy or girl sitting next to you would get really bored because you'd start burning their ears off with stories. You think, okay,
right,
bored.
yeah. So, but those times when, yeah, especially walking, when you can't do anything else because, your only goal is to get from one place to the other. That's when the creativity is best for me, I think. Yeah. But
For
yeah,
me, I think it's which is something I should do more of. I have access to a beach here. I mean, going for a walk in nature and then finding little things like shells and whatnot. I look at it, and go, oh, isn't that nice? Oh, I could make a necklace out of this or whatever. I always get my inspiration when I go for a walk, and which is something that I haven't done for a long time. My husband and I haven't gone on a holiday for how many years now? For quite some time. We used to go on holidays a lot, and I would bring my little digital camera and I take photos, and then I get ideas for my paintings and stuff. And we haven't done that, so we are going in August though this year, which is good. We're really looking
oh,
forward.
nice. Where are you going? Is it
Port,
like a cruise or
no, Port Douglas, actually
Port
going up north,
Douglas? Oh,
Carrington.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I was up there at Christmas.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, yeah. My parents live in Cairns now, so I was up visiting them in Cairns.
Did you find it hot? I mean, we go in winter up there because it's so tropical. It's just steamy.
It's hot and it's humid, but
Mm.
I live in Japan, and in Japan, it's like now it's already like it's like a sweat box everywhere, you know?
Is it?
And yeah, it's so humid.
Oh,
I've I used to do some work in Singapore in the summer. And so for a week, in the summer, I'd fly from Osaka, Japan to Singapore, and it was cooler in Singapore.
really?
Yeah, it was like I could walk around in Singapore wearing a black suit jacket, but in Osaka, I can't do that. It'd just be sticking to me.
I just figured it out. I mean, Japan is just a big island,
Mm,
really. I
yeah.
think if you're closer to the water, you get a lot of humidity. It's same here. Our other house is in Brisbane. It's always drier. You come
Mm,
here, it's humid. It's really
mm.
humid because it's just a sand island. So we always get the sea breeze and everything rusts.
Ah, yeah, yeah. You've always got you're always having your car serviced, right? Because it's yeah.
Everything rusts. It's just don't leave anything outside. It's shocking. I thought I had a little musical instrument with metal strings. I took it out the other day and went, what? It's just like strumming, and it's like a rust bucket. I thought, my God, everything rusts. That's the price you pay for living near the beach, I guess.
Mm, yeah. Um, you've got that weight off. The depression's basically gone. What other improvements have you seen?
I have a laundry list. I'm good at lists, but one thing, okay, the sleep apnea is gone. My husband says I don't hear you uh, snore, or I used to have another thing as well after I had my appendix removed. I don't know what they did to my throat. So I assume I have a very small throat. I don't know what they did with the tube, but I had it says you moan on the way out, you snore on the way in, you moan on the way out. And I thought, you poor thing. He sleeps better when he's at the other house. No worries. But that's gone. He says you don't do that anymore. Um, the fatigue I had is gone. The brain fog, joint pain, um, bleeding gums, tonsil stones. I've noticed that's what gives you terrible bad breath. And I used to get lots of tonsil stones in my tonsils, and that's gone. I have none. So bad breath gone. Um, The dermatitis, I've had seborrheic dermatitis, is mostly under control. I still have a bit of it, but I suspect that's the dairy. I think that's the last thing I haven't pulled out is the dairy, and there's a possibility that might cause it or aggravate it. So I've dropped the cheese pretty much. I don't. I used to eat a lot of cheese initially. I used to put it on my mince and all that, but I not so much anymore. Um, the butter though, oh, I can't give up the butter. I'm sorry, I just can't. I eat the darn thing like it's a piece of cheese. I watched I think it's Dr. Elizabeth Bright. She was on she was being interviewed. I think it was Bella, the butter steak and
Steak and butter gal.
yeah, and she was saying how women should consume butter like one stick a day. I can't do that. That's too much. But I can't get enough of the stuff. Pretty much like Bella was saying when she started, I just eat it. My husband's like, you're having another piece? I don't know. My body is wanting something in the butter, and I don't know what it is, but it's wanting something in the butter. So butter's like I'm not getting rid of that. The cream, the cheese, the other things, they can go, but the butter, no,
Mm.
that stays. My blood pressure that's stabilized too. That was going. I have white coat syndrome, and even though I used to say to the doctors, "Please, it's going to be elevated," I know because I get stressed, and yeah, well, that's still too high. I mean, you had a 150 something, and I'm like, okay, I'm at home though, and it was 135, but now it's stabilized at 115 on 73. That's my
Oh
average.
wow. So from about 150 to 115. Wow.
No, I had about 135.
135. Oh, okay. So it was only the white coat syndrome times. It was
Yeah, that
150.
would make it go really, really high. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I have to be careful now because if I've been sitting down for a while, I'm really relaxed and I get up too quick, I go, whoa. So
Mm.
I actually have such low blood pressure. And my doctor says, add some more salt. You got to add the salt. So yeah, I've added the salt. That's Dr. Suresh Kirwatkar. He's actually I actually found him on YouTube. And I thought the little ducks are lining up in a row because I thought, which doctor can I go see in Australia that's not going to say, oh, well, no, you can't. I've been,
Mm.
one doctor here on Bribey says, what about the ketogenic diet? Says, it's not sustainable. And pills are? And I
Mm.
thought, okay, no, forget it. And then lo and behold, the little YouTube algorithm, up comes Dr. Kirwatker's uh, channel, and he says he's a Brisbane doctor. And I thought, oh no, you're joking, right? So I started looking, and I found him, and I actually went to see him. So he's now following me. He did all my blood tests. Um, I actually had a full cholesterol, the LDL, a fragmented LDL to check because it was, of course, it was astronomical. And he
Mm.
says, well, okay, 8.2 millimole per liter. That was like really, that would send alarm bells to any other doctor. But he says, well, okay, but we did a fragmentational LDL, and they were all of type 1 and 2 categories, which is the non-oxidative LDL. And I said, well, why is it so elevated? He said, I think you're what's called a lean mass hyper.
Responder.
Yeah, that's what he said. And I said, but I'm
Yeah.
not lean. I'm not
Mm.
lean. I still got ways to go. But he's even tested me. I asked him to test me for hemochromatosis because if you eat a lot of meat, it's a lot of iron. And my mom's got hemochromatosis. And I thought, well, I might have it. But he said, I carry the one copy of the gene, which I obviously got from my mom, but I don't have both. You need both, I think, to get full blown hemochromatosis. So that's one good thing. I thought, good. So I don't need to worry about the iron or anything. He says, no, you don't, which is good.
Oh, nice.
So he says my HDL was good. It was elevated. My, excuse me, HbA1c was low. Everything sort of lined up. And the only thing he says your VLDL is elevated. And I still have no answer why my LDL will be so elevated, and yet everything else lines up.
Mm.
So I saw a video of somebody was explaining it's like having a bunch of, who said it was like having a bunch of Uber cars, and but nobody's in the taxi. So I have a lot of Uber taxi, but they're not carrying a lot of cholesterol.
Ah, okay.
It's like they're there, but um, my triglycerides are so low. It's like it's not a
Oh,
worry.
okay. Nice. I think it's also nuanced as well
Mm,
for every individual because it's based on, how your body's working, as an overall unit. That, just saying, oh, this is high or that's high is it's way too simplistic, right? To
it
be able,
is.
yeah. And the doctor that says that's not sustainable, that's such an irritating thing to say. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
No comments.
Yeah.
No comments.
So
Uh,
so what is your diet like on a day-to-day basis? Like how many times are you eating and what are the meals like?
um, because for some reason I can't. I've tried doing one meal. I can't. It's just unsustainable for me because I must have a very small stomach. I'm not a big person, so everything on me is tiny. And so I tried one meal a day, and I feel sluggish. I feel it's too heavy in my stomach. So I do, most of the times I do two meal a day. Sometimes I'll have breakfast. That's the meal I normally skip. Because when I wake up, I used to have coffee, which is another thing. I said bye bye coffee, and it actually helped with the palpitations and stuff.
Nice.
So now I have I call it my creamy butter collagen drink, which is basically it's a couple of scoops of collagen, a big nugget of butter, some salt, and some cream, and then I put hot water and I just blend it, and it's like a very salty latte without the coffee, so to speak. Uh,
Ah, okay.
and that tidies me over for the whole morning, really. So that's what I had this morning. I'm not hungry at all. So I'm thinking, God, I gotta eat three lamb chops now for lunch. But yeah, I normally will do lunch at around, well, it's not really lunch. I have it around 10 o'clock, 11. So it's more of a brunch. And then I'll have dinner. Um, if I'm on my own and my husband's at the other house, I'll have it at around 3 o'clock. If he's there, I'll have dinner with him a little later, say around 5 or 6. But yeah, normally 2 times a day. That's about it. And lots of butter in between.
Oh, okay. And you mentioned lamb, so you predominantly eating lamb or
I I like lamb. I mean, I grew up in Canada's beef, pork, and pork. God, so much pork in Canada. Just we produce pork for the rest of the world, apparently, in where I'm from, in Quebec. So the pork you're probably eating in Japan is probably produced in Quebec. I'm serious. It's just like the pork I'm eating here is probably from Quebec. But pork I've never liked. When I was young, the only thing I could stomach was bacon. And since I've gone carnivore, that's the one thing I got rid of. I don't want the nitrates and the sugars, and they put dextrose and all sorts of crap in it.
hmm.
And I said, really? So I end up buying pork belly, and I just cut it myself and get rid of. I use the rind, and I make the pork rinds with it, and then I cut the pork belly thin, and I make my own bacon. And I eat pork chops. I eat, minced pork. You name it. My husband's like, because he likes pork. He grew up with lamb. It's like, oh, lamb. You know, he's Australian, so it's like
Ah,
lamb.
okay.
He's like lamb again. Yeah, he grew up. Lamb was like the dirt cheap meat when he was young. So it's like I don't like lamb. I'm lambed out. But I like lamb because I don't know. It agrees with me digestively, and I know that it's pretty much on par with ribeyes and stuff because it's very fatty. So, and I like the flavor of it. Um, so I like lamb, but I will eat beef. And like I say, I eat the rainbow. And if it's got a face and I'll eat the chicken, the pork. I even eat venison if I can get my hand, because there's a place here venison's really nice, but it's lean. So you got to drown it with a lot of butter or lard because it's a very lean meat. Yeah, pretty much, I'm not fond of sardines. I love salmon though. Salmon is something that I don't know. It must be part bear or something. I love this.
And
I love.
are you eating eggs?
Oh heck yeah, heck yeah. Oh boy, it's like my husband's got to buy a 30 pack. You know? It's like we go to Costco and we buy the mega pack of eggs because it's my staple. If especially if I have breakfast, I'll have lots of eggs. And if I'm making a mince dish, I normally toss in some eggs, and it's almost like a scrambled hamburger thing. So yeah, I use eggs all the time,
Oh, nice.
and it's a filler as well. I mean, you got to be creative. I mean, if you're going
Yeah.
to be more, I don't know. That's maybe it's just me because I'm an artist or something. I got that. It's just like I don't like cooking. I really don't. It was just for me the carnivore diet's perfect. Just slap it in there. If I don't feel like it's like slap a steak in there, cook it, show it the pan because I eat mine like really rare. Show it the pan, say, look, it's warm, and then put it in the plate. That's it. So mine is like I wouldn't say blue, but bordering. So, and when my husband cooks this, he says, "You got it." Keeps check it, so I don't overcook it for you. Check it. Just show him the pan. Just say, "Look, it's warm," and put it on the plate. But
So, like, if you go out, if you were going out to a restaurant with your husband, like, you would be having the steak super rare, and he would be having the steak. How would he have it done?
oh, he likes it medium. I think more
Okay.
just a little bit of pink. Me, it's
Yeah.
like no, I want to see red. If I
Uh,
don't see red, it's too hard. I don't like that. Nyeh, nyeh, nyeh. I just really don't.
uh,
It's got to stay soft. And
yeah.
especially with things like venison. Oh my God. You put it in the pan and the steak goes, the muscle just shrinks. You think, okay, and you just seized it up. So you go
Hmm.
pss, pss, on two sides and that's it.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
gamey. You got to
Yeah.
like it.
That's like, have you ever had kangaroo or
Oh,
emu?
yeah.
They're the same. Like you've got to have them basically, you know, still walking almost.
You got to have the red in the middle because uh, it's especially because the kangaroo, if you have kangaroo steak, it's what they normally use is the tail because that's where the muscle is. So and that's a strong muscle in a kangaroo. You imagine like overcooking that. I mean, you
Mm.
could use that instead of a cricket ball. I mean, it would be like you could hurt somebody if you throw them that at
Yeah,
tink.
yeah.
You really are.
That's right.
It's like a hockey puck.
So so do you do you like catch up with friends much like for dinners or lunches, and how do they react to your way of eating?
Oh, I was supposed to catch up with a friend this week, and she knows I've gone carnivore, and she said to me, "Are you getting in touch with your inner wolf?" I said, "Yeah, I guess I am." But this is a problem. I've yet to go out to a restaurant, and I'm wondering how am I going to cope, or what do you ask? I mean, my sister's gone to a restaurant, and she said it's easier with the ketogenic diet because you can have a salad or something with a green salad with a piece of meat. But she's like me. She says if you're gonna cook it on the grill, could you please do not use canola oil? Just dump some butter and that's it. Just dump butter. You got
Mm.
butter? Yes, use the butter. And most of the time, the places they're pretty accommodating. I
Mm.
mean, um, but my husband's so supportive of my diet that he because we're going up to Cairns and okay, I got a cat here who's gonna come and visit. I think. Are you coming up? He actually bought a one of those little barbecue thingies with you use a can. I think it's a propane can or something. It's like a little propane cooker.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He said to me, well, He says, I can eat anything, but he says, just drop in at Coles or Woolworths, buy a steak and slap it on it. You
Hmm.
know, I thought, isn't he sweet? I mean,
Yeah.
he's not doing it, but he's really supportive, and he can see the benefits. He says, yeah, you're definitely more cheerful. You've lost weight. I don't hear you snore. He says it's like, yeah. So he's very supportive. And I was surprised. I thought I was going to eat pemmican the whole time we drove up there. Have you ever had pemmican?
No.
Oh,
What? I'm not even sure what it is.
it's okay. It's some sort of it's kind of like Native American survival food. It's just dried meat that's been powdered down to powder, like rendered to powder, and then it's mixed in with suet or lard,
Ah, okay.
and then you make like it looks like a hockey puck. I made mine in muffin tins, and I freeze them, but you can, and it's all it is dried meat, salted dried meat that you mix with the fat, and so it's like a cookie,
Wow.
a meat and fat cookie, so to
Oh,
speak.
nice.
But it's really survival food. I mean, would you
Mhm.
live off that? I don't know. Would have been a long holiday if I didn't have some sort of a way to
It's
cook my.
good. I guess it's good if you're stuck in a waiting room and you haven't eaten for the day. You need to,
Yeah,
you're stuck at work or something. Hmm.
yeah. Well, it's sort of like the carnivore version of a granola bar, if you want to look at it with that analogy.
Yeah.
So it's
Hmm.
always good to have on hand.
Yeah. So is this it for you now? Are you a convert for life? Are you on the carnivore diet for life?
So far, as of right now, I'd say yeah. I don't know what the future holds, but I can tell you right now, I feel much better. Um, a whole heap of issues I've had when I was young as well are slowly going bye bye. And I say slowly because you think about it, 50 something I am, if I'm going to be 54, you think how many years of damage did I do to my bowels? I still have a motility issue with my bowel. Dr. Kirwadker told me that I was extremely low in magnesium. I mean, really low. He says, I don't like to see the up your magnesium. He says, your heart might thank you as well. He says, you need to up it. So I've been increasing my magnesium, and I think it's helped a lot. But I don't expect carnivore to fix absolutely everything in what, 6 months, 5, 6 months. I'm on that thing. So yeah, for me, I don't like to use the word diet. It's been so corrupted. I mean,
Mm.
I'm on a diet. I'm not on a diet. I'm on a couch. That's where I'm at. I'm on a couch. But it's a way of eating.
Mm.
I mean, diet should mean what an animal or what a specific creature eats. Like my cat are on a diet, but we on a diet, guys? What's your diet? They want
So,
to come up, but I'm not letting them. That's why I'm
uh,
doing this.
let let them come up and let's have a look at the. Can they
Are you want to come
can
up,
they get
guys?
up?
Yeah. Come on. Come on, Mia. Boof.
How many have you got?
Two. Of
Two.
course, that's a cat for you. I want to come up. No. Come on up. No.
No.
I don't want to. I know to get him up.
I only want to go where you tell me I can't go.
Come on. Come on. Oh, you're such a stubborn cat. That's my big girl. You want to come and say hi? Come on over. Oh, you big girl. Oh, you're the big one.
Uh,
Oh,
hello. Uh,
that's little Mia. And of course, Miss Angel was like, no, I'm not gonna move.
she's happy to stay now, right? She's
Yeah, of
getting the
course.
pats. She's happy to stay.
No, I got food. I got food next to me.
Ah, okay.
That's why she's come up. I
Nice.
have I have one cat that's a vacuum cleaner that will eat. See, she thinks I got food.
Mm.
This one will eat anything that's not nailed down, and the other one's like anorexic. So So I can't leave a food bowl down. The other one will eat it. So I have to
Ah,
lift the bowl up and wait till she's hungry and then hide it from her. So it's fun.
wow.
The yan cat here. No,
Yeah. Do they stick to their own bowls generally? As long as no, like the one we can see in the picture now, she'll just have it everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's like she's a little vacuum cleaner, aren't
Yeah.
you?
Nice.
We actually had to restrict her food because she was going in the other one's bowl and eating everything. She
Ah,
was putting
okay.
on weight. She was losing weight.
Mm,
So you think, hmm, got a problem here. Would
yeah.
you like to say hello, Angel? No, okay.
Mm. So, is there any social media that you have that people could reach out to you if they want to? Like, do you have an Instagram or a YouTube channel or anything like that,
I
Carol?
I actually just recently reopened my YouTube channel. I've had it for no, you're not eating. I've just recently reopened it because I've had it for years. I had videos up and then I um I shut it down when there was the whole kerfuffle with YouTube with the child content restriction thing, and I thought, oh no, I don't want to deal with that. So I just shut everything down. And in the end, I still have it. I've just
Mm.
reopened it. I've been uploading. It's mostly videos of my e-bike adventures. I bought an e-bike, and so I've been e-biking. It's about also some of the artwork I've done. But I
Okay.
have Black Cat Spirit 13
Black
as
Cat
my
Spirit 13. Okay. I'll make sure I link to it in the description. But I do have a question.
Mhm.
Um, what is an e-bike? Because I'm just imagining something that you plug into a USB port on your computer or something. It's,
Well, it's basically it's a bike, but it has a lithium battery as well. So it's pedal assist. So it has a little motor.
ah, okay.
So I should say I had a regular bike which I don't have anymore and I don't use anymore and I got rid of because I couldn't use it. My knees are not the best. Uh, I've had too many um, horseback riding accident and I had one incident where I took my bike and I biked all the way to Warren Beach, which is on the other side of the island. And on the way back, my kneecap decided to go like this on left, right, left,
Oh,
right. It's just slipping, and I couldn't push with my leg, so I had to use my arm to sort of try and pedal home that way. And that was the end of the bike ride. And when I found out about bicycles that have a throttle, like a motor, um, and can also help you, like if it helps, it has a pedal assist, so it's like a little motor. It helps, and I thought, well, that will get me moving again and it'll be alleviate the weight on the joint. And if I ever have an incident where the patella decides to go like that, so I'll just use the throttle and throttle my way home all the way like a little motorbike. So I quite like my e-bike. So
hmm.
I've been um, really, Mia, seriously, you have to photobomb this shoot clip. But yeah,
Nice. Okay. Well, I'll link to your YouTube below. And
I yeah, and I also have my art gallery.
oh,
Like
okay.
I've updated it recently as well. So
Nice.
I think it actually is linked on my YouTube.
Okay. Well, I'll link to both of them below, yeah.
No worries.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today, Carol, and also for sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I hope it helps uh, somebody out there, and especially women who are on that hormonal roller coaster. It really helped me. The
Mm.
carnivore diet really helped settle the craziness.
Guys, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.